Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we break down the weekend NBA and WNBA action. I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith. How we doing?
Doing good. My bracket is dead, but Purdue is still alive. So that's really all I can really say for March Madness. But things are heating up in the NBA, getting close to the playoffs. So I'm excited to talk some ball today.
Yeah, I don't really know how they compute the numbers and stuff because on the tournament bracket challenge, it still says I have a 97% correct bracket, and I've missed a lot. So I don't know how that's possible, but
Hmm.
whatever, I'll take it. It still only puts me in like the top 500,000 people, but that's okay. Still makes me feel good to have that, to see that number. But yeah, I got the pretty big event this week. My birthday is on Wednesday, the big 3-0,
Oh,
pretty
yes.
monumental birthday. So
Happy
pretty excited
birthday.
for that. Thank you very much. My mom's is the day before mine, so we're celebrating hers tomorrow on Tuesday and mine on Wednesday. So pretty excited for this week. But yeah, more excited to get into this NBA action that we have seen over the past week. Another exciting week. What stood out to you?
Uh, really just looking at the standings, I will say like there's not really any storylines right now, other than of course Cade Cunningham in Detroit. That's definitely one that
Yeah,
we should talk about. He's going to be out for at the least 2 weeks, which still keeps him. If he were to return, I think that'd be like a game or two maybe in the regular season.
yeah,
But he's out with a collapsed lung. I'm thinking collapsed lung.
yeah. I, I'm
Um,
writing my will and testament. I'm not coming back to play basketball after that. But more power
yeah,
to
like
him.
oh my goodness, I can't imagine. I feel like that's got to be really painful. They say it's a mild case of it, but I'm thinking, how does one have a mild case
Yeah.
of a collapsed
How do you
lung?
put mild by that at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe
It's like saying mild heart
I
attack.
have
It's
to.
just funny.
Yeah, it's yeah. I hopefully he's okay, and I'm glad that apparently he should be back within 2.5 weeks. I wonder what the conditioning will be. I kind of wonder how you obtain a collapsed lung, being an athlete and whatnot. Maybe overworking yourself. I mean,
I would say
I'm
so.
not
Yeah,
saying Cade's carrying this Detroit Pistons team, but maybe he's carrying them more than we thought with
a
that
little too
collapsed
much.
lung.
Yeah,
Yeah, but looking around at the standings, though, where is that? There it is. Detroit is still in the lead of the Eastern Conference. We'll start in the East. The Celtics are in second, but they have a little challenge from the Knicks. Knicks hit an easier part of their schedule. They're on a 6-game winning streak and now find themselves just half a game back of the Celtics, who just dropped a game to the Timberwolves last night. Then you have the Cavs, a pretty safe distance back from the Celtics or Knicks. It would take them pretty well collapsing and the Cavs winning a lot of games, I would say, for them to probably get that. Which honestly, with the Knicks and Celtics, I don't know about the Celtics, but the Knicks, very likely.
for sure.
And then you have the Raptors, who are kind of on a free fall. Like they kind of just got this status of the 5th seed and have ridden. Well, guess what? There's a team on the way, and we talked about them last week, and I talked about them the week before. I've been on the Hawks train. Finally, my Raptors and Hawks were the two that we talked about at the beginning of the season as kind
For
of being
sure.
those not necessarily we didn't necessarily say top 4 seed, but like they could sneak into there. They're not doing that this year, but who's at the 5 and 6? The Raptors and the Hawks after it's all said and done. So still a lot of shaking up that can happen because this is where it gets really juicy in the East. The top four all clinched in the playoffs, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all could realistically end up in the as high as the 5 seed and as low as the 10 seed. So I mentioned the Raptors and Hawks. Hawks have one of the easiest, if not the easiest, schedule in the East to finish out the season. I think their hardest game is another game against the Celtics, maybe a game against the Magic or something like that. And then the Raptors are kind of the middle of the pack in terms of strength of schedule to reign. The Sixers are the team in the 7th seed right now. They have been without Embiid for a bit. I don't know if he's back or not. Um, but I did see a tweet saying that Joel Embiid has just 10 more games played since he won MVP, as Jokic has triple doubles since Embiid won MVP.
That's insane.
That's that's a stat right there, ladies and gentlemen. And then you have the Magic rounding out your 8 seed, or I guess obviously we have the play in, but rounding out the top 8. And then you have the Heat and the Hornets, the Southwest or Southeast, not the Southwest. That's
Southeast.
the opposite side of the country. But no, the Southeast. Hey, I was talking about the Southeast. I didn't even mention the Hornets in that video. They're on a 3-game winning streak and on their way to potentially, again, they can get as high. They are literally 14 and a half games back of the lead. The Raptors in 5th are 12 games back of the lead. And with how the Raptors have been playing, it is very reasonable to expect them to maybe go like 5-5 on whatever games we have left. I don't have 5-5. I don't think we have 10, but you get my point. They could definitely just split it, which opens up the door for a Hawks team who's scorching hot. The Hornets, who are hot again, or the Sixers if they get Embiid back. So we'll come back to this next week, and the Eastern Conference could be completely different.
For sure.
And I'm excited to see what that all brings. But the Bucks, Bulls, Nets, Wizards, Pacers, if you didn't already know, are eliminated. If you didn't already know, that's okay. And then you have the West. 7 teams are already clinched into the playoffs, or at least the play-in, I guess I should say. And then that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shocking. They've also clinched their division. And then the Spurs are the only other team to officially clinch a playoff position. But let's be honest, the Lakers in 3rd, the Rockets in 4th, the Nuggets in 5th, and the Timberwolves in 6th pretty well are all going to stay there. You got the 7th who are in the play-in. They're 4 games back of the Timberwolves. So, yeah, I think pretty well, barring a collapse, these guys are fine up here. But looking back at that top, let's talk about it. The Thunder on an 11-game winning streak right now, finishing the season, how they started, finishing the season. We talked about we felt like they were slowing down a little bit, and maybe not so much slowing down by accident, like just kind of doing it on purpose, making sure they're playing their best ball going into the playoffs. So I think a current 11-game, who knows how far that could go, is a pretty good way to go into the playoff stretch. The Spurs have been on a heater too, though. They're 21-2 since February. They have been playing just as good ball as the Thunder. So they're going to probably end up finishing about 3 games back of OKC. But that just sets up a Western Conference Finals potential that could be for the record books. But we'll wait till we get there, I suppose. The Lakers, Alex, I know you're going to want to talk about them. They currently are on a 9-game winning streak, still on the streak. We talked about them last week, and they went in and beat the Rockets twice. I didn't think they were going to do it. I doubted them. My bad. Luka dropped 60 points, I think, in the second game against the Rockets, or
that's correct. Yes.
Was that a different game? Second
game.
Rockets, so don't let Luka play you back to back. He's just going to drop.
That was against the Heat. Yeah. Bam said everybody can't score 80.
Valid point.
Or they may have just asked him about that night. No, I think it was against the Rockets. My bad.
I don't know. It could have been against the Heat. Was it a back-to-back when the Rockets?
It was back-to-back with the Rockets, and it was the second night of that back-to-back with the Rockets. So yeah, it was 60 against the Rockets. Yeah, but they asked Bam about it, of course, because he had just scored 80, and Bam said everybody can't score 80. Anyways, continue.
Very true. Very true. Finishing up my recap of the Western Conference, though, the Nuggets in 5th have kind of just been treading water here recently. I don't have anything positive or negative to say about them. The Timberwolves are the Timberwolves. Great game against the Celtics yesterday. Definitely in the fourth quarter, kind of just hit it into another gear that the Celtics didn't have. But other than that, we'll see about the Timberwolves. We know they'll be a tough out for any team, especially your Lakers, if that's who they end up facing. The Suns, I don't know if I want to face that team. The Suns, I don't care about the Suns. So you can face the Suns, that's fine. But
please.
I don't know if the stars are going to align on that one, buddy. The best we can do is the Nuggets, Timberwolves, or best we can do is the Rockets there.
Rockets is the best we can do, yeah.
Yeah, the Suns looking like far and ahead that they should be like a top 6 team. Like they should pretty well be locked into the playoffs, you would think. Just there's only 6 spots. They can't quite get in there because there's another like 5-game gap to the Clippers, who are in the 8th seed, the Trailblazers in the 9th seed. Both these teams under 500, by the way. The Warriors in the 10th seed. With a record of 33-38 is insane. Like the West is very top heavy, but if I'm being 1,000% honest, I am taking the play-in the East over the play-in in the West here. I might just be because the Eastern Conference just has an easier way about it. But Suns, Clippers, Trailblazers, Warriors versus the Sixers, Magic, Heat, Hornets.
Yeah,
give me the Southwest plus the Sixers, Southeast plus the Sixers. God dang it!
It's finally just not the Bulls and the Hawks and stuff. So we're actually getting a different Eastern Conference play-in this year. It's kind of nice, and it might be a Southeast Division play-in, so that'll be very interesting to see. But yeah,
for sure. But that's my look around, Alex. What teams stand out to you? What have you been seeing?
Not really worried about whoever gets that 7th or 8th in the West. They're going to get demolished, whoever it is. I am worried about who falls in that 6th spot. Hoping it's the Rockets. The Lakers have not played well against Minnesota or Denver historically in the playoffs. Didn't have Luka, but still. A situation I still don't want to give either Ant or Jokic a chance to prove that they're still the best in the business. So please, Rockets, fall down to that 6th seed and we will be just okay. Either way, the Lakers are probably getting the Spurs in the 2nd round and probably not going to be pretty there. So just win one. Just get that first series and I think I'll be okay. In the East, it's going to be very exciting. Potentially anybody could win it. Like you mentioned, the Raptors. I don't know what's going on with them. They just signed Markelle Fultz to a 10-day deal. Don't know if you saw that, but I think they're struggling. I think they're struggling if you make a move like that. I think the Hawks are primed to definitely take over that 5th or 4th seed and win that matchup, no matter who it may be. So I'm excited to see how the Hawks position themselves. How that play-in turns out is going to be something because can the Sixers stay healthy? Because if they can, they're a dangerous team. But I don't see Maxey may not be able to stay healthy. Embiid, definitely a question mark. So it's going to look rough in the East, especially in that play-in tournament. But if they are all healthy and playing their best basketball, it could be very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these matchups, and then I'll rest my case here. You look at the West, we're pretty confident. I'm beyond confident, if I'm being honest, that the Thunder and Spurs will handle the Suns, Clippers, Trailblazers, or Warriors within a 4 to 5 game series. 5 might be a 3-game series. We might have the first one of those. But you look at the East, the Celtics are kind of stuttering a little bit here at the end of the season, I would say. I don't think that's because of Jason Tatum per se. It's probably largely because of their lack of a big half the time. They got to go up against the Sixers or the Magic. If the Sixers are healthy, is that really who you want to face as the 7 seed? You drop down to the 3 seed as the Celtics, then you're going up against the Hawks or the Raptors. I think that's Hawks, maybe not so much. Raptors, I don't know. But I would be more scared against the Sixers or Magic or hell, even the Heat, suppose.
In the playoffs, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. So, and then the Pistons, like, yeah, they're the 1 seed. They have pretty well played I wouldn't say a perfect season, but there's been some bumps in the road. But for the most part, even without Cade Cunningham, they're 7-2, I think, on the year. So I think I'd like to think the Pistons, beyond confidence, would be fine whether they play the Sixers, Magic, or Heat. But in reality, we haven't gotten the Pistons playoff series really. Where they were in it last year, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't win that series.
They did not.
But they pushed the Knicks further than people expected. That's what it was. Had to get the storyline back in my head. It's been a while. I was locked in on my Pacers back then. But yeah, so like I feel like I would trust the Pistons, but you put Joel Embiid in the mix, known playoff performer. No, but just a guy who can definitely pose a threat. I think that's the interesting part is even if the Knicks jump up to the 2nd seed, Knicks in the playoffs, nothing is ever for certain, especially if they end up somehow getting the Hawks in that situation, even less certain. So yeah, but I rest my case on that. The Cavs are like, I feel like any of those teams can win the East, and any of those teams can lose in the first round. And I think that's the beauty of the chaos in the East. Whereas you look at the West, and they got 5 teams that could win a championship. So
Yeah.
it's just a completely different kind of way of seeing it on the other end. And not to say that the Pistons or Knicks couldn't really find a way, but I mean, if they're going up against the Thunder, I just don't see it.
Yeah, two things about the East really quick. You bring up a terrific point. If the Celtics have to go against the Sixers with Joel Embiid and then facing him a hurt Vucevic, basically, or a player that's basically non-recognizable, that's going to be a tough matchup. And they already have Maxey and Edgecombe playing out of their minds if they're healthy. So that'd be a very tough matchup, and one I would very much enjoy to see as a non-biased Celtics watcher. Looking forward to that if it happens. Kata Cunningham was my second point. If he, again, coming back from a collapsed lung, is he at 100%? Can you even be at 100% coming back from that? What does that look like? And putting him back in the chemistry of the team after they're playing pretty well with Adam, like you mentioned. So that'll be interesting to see if a team's able to take advantage of that, especially if he's pushing himself when he shouldn't be.
Very true.
And segueing into my point, mine is one of those teams that are not making the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Bucks decided that they are shutting down Giannis, and he said, "Forget that noise."
Yeah, Calcium wanted to make.
The Bucks are out of playoff position, obviously, but Giannis saying he's not going to be shut down no matter what. Do you see this as an issue, and how do you see this getting resolved? Colton, I wanted to ask you.
So I can always respect Giannis and anybody who wants to finish out the season regardless of what your record is. Like, I think you're right as a basketball player. I think it would be insane for me personally to be like, oh no, I'm going to sit this one out. Like, obviously they play 82 games a year, so things start to get a little, less valuable to them in terms of games. But I don't think you can really knock on a player for doing that. I see the Bucks point, but really they're not in position to really advance their position in the lottery at this point. The only team in the East they could potentially fall below is the Bulls, sorry. And then the only team in the West, if I look at these schedules and do some quick math, is maybe the Pelicans, but that would require the Pelicans to win 4 games to finish the season. I don't want to get too crazy with it here. So I don't think they're really advancing their lottery luck. And I think the only thing would be a Giannis injury, which is fair, but at the end of the day, is that maybe a Giannis injury because they want to trade him this offseason? That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna the final decision for the trade is gonna come from Giannis, and if he really wants to be traded, I don't think he would run the risk of being injured. I think he would sit it out. But maybe he just doesn't want us to know his next move. So I don't know. What are your thoughts though? Because it's definitely an interesting situation. I'm always for the player playing and letting fans pay tickets to see him play, especially a player like Giannis. So
yeah, never let them know your next move. But again, as you said, it is very commendable for players to play out those games, fans spend their hard-earned money to get those tickets to watch those big-time players. So I really enjoy when they play those games. I did not really even think about that the Bucks cannot improve their draft status. So let Giannis play. I mean, he might get injured, but I don't think it'll be a serious injury. And even so, you have all summer for him to do rehabbing and stuff. The last thing you want to do is make that man mad after he has said multiple seasons in a row that I would like to be traded. Because this offseason, he may just make that true and final. And that's a thing that you don't want to happen if you're the Bucks, because you're already plagued with Darvin Ham and Doc Rivers. But anyways, it's a tough scene out there in Milwaukee. I think it's going to go the way of Giannis, and he's going to get to play the games that he wants to. Yeah. But if not, look out for a very, very interesting offseason.
Get those Kalshi bets ready.
I just think it's so funny that he was like, no, I'm actually very not interested in being traded. And they're like, okay, sit out everything. That is certainly a response from the Bucks organization. Anyways, my
Yeah.
next storyline is the CBA finally got agreed to in the WNBA. Thank goodness. The regular season will not be affected. Even better news. And we'll break down some of the biggest points of the CBA that they agreed upon. Salary and revenue share fell in the middle, as we kind of expected it would. 7 million cap and a 20% revenue share, so right in the middle of what the players union and the league wanted. And Supermax starts at 1.4 million. It was previously 400,000, so $1 million increase in the Supermax, something these players much deserved and are going to get now that players like Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu are all free agents this upcoming off season, so they're about to get very paid very quick. Average salary now in the WNBA will be 600,000, and the minimum is 300,000. The minimum used to be 66,000. So 5 times what the minimum used to be. Again, something that is way past overdue. Something I'm proud to see that they got done. Housing is provided for all players for the next 3 years, and after that, players making 500K or less will still get it. So they won't have to worry about their housing, and they get to make still a fair wage for all of the revenue that they're bringing in for the team. So overall, an incredible win for a league that's thriving, and something again that was incredibly overdue. Do any of those points of the CBA really stand out to you?
I do question the housing as to what the quality of that housing would be.
Fair.
I could see corners being cut there for sure.
I would agree.
And at the end of the day, I guess the housing is their decision if they want to take that.
Hmm.
Um, it does make sense because, yeah, it does make sense. But the other person, well, what I wanted to point out was Olivia Miles. How about the strategic decision that she made to not go into the draft last season and
Ah,
probably become a higher draft pick, right?
oh,
Maybe, I
for
mean,
sure, yeah.
become a higher draft pick, waited for the CBA to renegotiate, and now she's going to make a lot more money to start her WNBA career off. So I think that's the biggest winner of all of this, outside of course, the league themselves and the people already in there. And like you said, those players coming up on contract extensions, super max extensions. The WNBA is making money, and finally, the WNBA players are making money closer to what they should be making. Maybe there's still some ground to make, but sometimes you take the wins as they come. So, uh,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I think we're being pushed.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that Olivia Miles point. That is one of those never let them know your next move type of things again. So good on her for seeing that for what it was. Because, yeah, one thing I did forget to mention, that was a smaller point in the CBA because these are huge points, but rookies can now get the Supermax quicker than they used to be able to. So it's a quicker process from your rookie contract to a Supermax contract. So Olivia Miles may be in the running for that very, very soon. So yeah, very smart on her to stay out a year, improve her draft stock, and probably be a top 5 pick. We will see. But again, an incredible win, and I'm excited that the regular season is not affected, and Unrivaled will not be harmed by this. Don't worry, they'll have another thriving season next year. But
Yeah,
that
it'll
will
be
do
just
it.
fine.
Yeah, that will do it for our storylines. We're going to move on to our power rankings where we list our top 5 teams after another week. Colton, who you got?
Yeah. So at number 5, I have the Detroit Pistons. They are doing fine without Cade Cunningham, but I do feel like Cade Cunningham being injured overall is just a hit to their power, I suppose. So I got them at number 5, still atop the East, of course. At number 4, I have the New York Knicks on a 6-game winning streak of their own. Easier teams. Otherwise, I'd probably stick them at the number 3 spot, but I put the Lakers at number 3. I
Yeah.
may be getting a little ahead of myself. Maybe. I got him number 3 though. 9-game winning streak, beating the Rockets twice, but beating teams on the road, which has been one of their main issues, definitely last season and throughout a portion of this season. So doing that turns heads for me. Luka Doncic. I said it last week. I still say it this week. Should be the MVP. Logan.
He doesn't want to hear it, but it's true.
I have a. He doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear it. It's all right. I won't give him the rage bait title this week. So you won't have to think about disliking it. But OKC, I have at the number 2 spot still. I understand they're on an 11-game win streak, but I just don't think the Spurs have done anything for me to take them down. They have lost 2 games since the month of February. It's almost April, folks. Well, at least we got about a week. But regardless, I think they have been – OKC has been great. San Antonio has been on this run for a little longer. So I still give them the benefit of the doubt there, but can't argue with whatever you do with that 1-2 spot. Maybe there's a little resentment from last finals, but can't ever get that all out.
Fair enough. For me, I have the Celtics at 5, second in the East, won 4 of the last 5. Only loss to the T-Wolves, not a bad loss whatsoever. Maybe a biased spot to put them. Who cares? It's my list. Number 4 is the Lakers, because I will not get ahead of myself when it comes to the Lakers because I know how they work. But they're still third in the West, winners of 9 straight. Some of those wins: Houston, Orlando, the Miami Bams, Houston again, Denver, Minnesota, and New York. So very impressive wins against very good teams, and one of the best scores the NBA has ever seen, apparently. So shout out the Lakers for continuing to do great things. Number 3, I have Detroit, first in the East, won 4 of the last 5 as well, and they're winning without Cade. I kind of put that in my metrics higher than them being without him. I understand where you're coming from too. So I respect really either take, but I have them higher because of that, because it's just impressive to win without your star, because I've watched the Lakers not be able to for many, many years. And number 2, I have the Spurs, second in the West. Again, you've said it, still 2 losses this month, and that's the Knicks and Denver. What?
Decent teams.
Good for the Spurs, I guess. They're good at basketball. Where have we seen that before? Number 1, I have OKC, first in the West. They haven't lost this month, and they get J-Dub back. Cool. Yeah, they're still number 1 on my list, unfortunately. I thought it would change, but they keep winning, and now they're getting very, very essential players back. So my list may not change for quite some time. But we will go ahead and move on to our NBA Pick'em, where we pick our winners for the biggest games in the association this week. My first one I have is Wednesday, 7 p.m. on League Pass. It's OKC at Boston. Who you got?
OKC. I think I've picked Boston like 2 or 3 times recently, and they've just burned me. So give me OKC to stretch out their winning streak on the C's, especially considering, like you said, they're getting J-Dub back. Even without J-Dub, they've been going ham. I'd like to see Boston try, that's for sure.
I hope this is a close game. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely have OKC winning this game, if not anything else for the bigs, but they're just a better all-around team, if we're being honest. Both teams are healthy. Both teams are hungry, obviously. OKC trying to hold on to that number 1 spot. Boston still trying to figure out if they can sneak into that number 1 spot. Probably not going to happen, but a reason to fight for these games. So Boston will definitely be competitive in this one, I think, but OKC probably takes it home. And the other one I have is Thursday, 7 p.m., also on League Pass. the New York Knicks at Charlotte. I was going to go Atlanta, Detroit, but Cade Cunningham's out, so I went with the Knicks at Charlotte.
The Cade Cunningham being out makes that a very hard game. But yeah, this is also a very hard one because the Knicks have been on a heater against like 3 or 4 of those teams being like bottom of the league. So is that fool's gold? Or are they due for a little slap in the face? The Hornets are looking to make that jump as high as 5th place in the East. Feels like a game the Knicks would crap on because they also are trying to catch the Celtics for that 2nd seed. So I think this is the game that maybe the Knicks fans look back on are like, we should have finished this game out and we'd be a 2 seed right now. So give me the Hornets for the upset.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but Rob Perez, big Knicks fan on NBA Twitter. Love to see his game reactions, and I think he'll have a very depressed game reaction to this one. I got Charlotte in this one. I think they're hungrier. Another team that's only lost 2 games this month, the last I checked, so they're fighting for play-in position. They might be just a little bit more hungry, and like you said, the Knicks are kind of coasting on that schedule. Does that really help as you're preparing for playoff the up and downs of the playoffs? Probably not, but we'll see. It'll at least improve their positioning, so good for them, I guess. But Charlotte, that's who I got in this one. And now it's time for our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who's on your list?
All right, so obviously it's Luka Doncic. So I left that lob for you or whoever wants to take it. But you know me, I like going for the random bucket getters. And this week's random bucket getter or baller of the week is Josh Hart. How about that ethical 33, 7, and 5, 12 of 13 shooting, 4 of 5 3 throws. You know what? That's more impressive than Bam's 80. No, I'm just there's probably somebody on Twitter trying to argue this right now because Twitter, but I also want to give a shout out to Darius Garland for a nice little 40 piece on 8 3-pointers. Gotta give shout outs where shout outs are due. I just love the little man. All right. I love, shouting out those who you don't expect dropping 30 pieces. I think Hart was quoted with saying this would not have happened with Jalen Brunson on the court or something across those lines. This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out my boy Hart, one of my favorite players in the league. Funny guy. So yeah, baller of the week, but it's really Luka.
Yeah, last week we had Nickeil Alexander-Walker dropping 41 too. So bunch of fun players you wouldn't expect to have these huge point totals. So shout out to the league, who's just getting better and better. Mine actually is not Luka Doncic. Mine is a very not well-known player named LeBron James.
Who?
He passed Robert Parrish for the most regular season games played, and the game that he tied him, he got a triple-double at 41 years old. In case you're wondering, LeBron has 17 of the top 18 oldest triple-doubles in NBA history. 17 of the top 18. So yeah, shout out to the guy who's been doing it for a long, long time.
Valid reason to make him baller of the week, I think.
And shout out the Chief. Didn't even realize he had that record, and he played not as long as LeBron. I don't think. I don't even know. But shout out to him. But that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Follow the show's YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. You can follow me on Twitter at The Wheel Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. And thank you all for listening and watching. And until next week, like I hope my 30s are, be smooth.